I want to start out telling you why I do what I do first. And I do what I do because when I was 2 years old, my mother gave birth to the youngest of us 8 Hammond kids. And my father, who was a cross-country truck driver, went to unload a truck and never came back. My mom, for as hard as she tried for 2 more years until I was 4, after several nervous breakdowns, made the hardest decision for her, but what ended up being the best decision for us. And we got shipped 3,500 miles away to a group home. And at that group home for 14 years, I was raised in a 1,200-acre campus, quite idyllic, with 500 other kids. And I was a product of philanthropy and charity. The members of the Moose Lodges across the country would send 10 cents a day, or $35 a year, in what they called a big charity dollar to support this group home that graduated over 13,000 students. And on that campus, I was given a great education. And when we would participate in sports, I remember as I got older, the teams that we once participated in were no longer around, because back in the 80s, with the first recession, things got tough and schools consolidated and art programs got lost and band programs were missing. But at this group home, these philanthropists came to our aid. At 23 years old, I had dropped out of college and was living on a couch here in Washington, D.C. And I was reading an article in the Washington Post titled "No Place to Play." And it was about Aisha and Clendon and a reporter from the Post who had noticed a previous article in the Metro section about 2 kids who had crawled into an abandoned car, suffocated, and died. And she went down to the community because she wanted to better understand actually why this took place and were there solutions that could come from this. And she spent 3 weeks literally going block by block by block to try to answer the question that if they hadn't crawled into this car, where would they have played? And it was 3 miles before she came to a patch of green grass. Not a park, not a playground, not a swimming pool, a patch of green grass. How was a 2- and 4-year-old going to get over there? There was also great apathy that unfortunately existed because of this tragedy, and people pointed fingers at each other. The mayor was pointing fingers at the housing authority. The housing authority was pointing fingers at the park and rec department. The neighbors were fighting. And it struck me so profoundly because that was the exact same age that my father, that Aisha was, too. And when I went to this group home at 4, and a community surrounded themselves by me, and I was raised that way. I didn't start out to start an organization. I went down to that one community to try to build a singular place for Aisha and Clendon and do it in a way that we can work with community, not for the community. And 16 years later, actually today, in Newark, New Jersey, we're building our 2,000th and 200th playground with our 1 millionth volunteer. I'm also humbled because my first employee at KaBOOM, who took a leave of faith in joining an idea that once we did decide to start an organization, who wasn't even guaranteed a paycheck when he came over to start working for us, is actually in the audience today, Ted Adams. So thank you, Ted. You know, we're about working with the community, and I want to tell 3 stories. Braddock, Pennsylvania, not too long ago, that had 6 different dealerships in this small 7-square-mile town. Several restaurants, several barbershops, and all of a sudden now, not a single business in the city itself. Not a single business. People have fled. An AmeriCorps Vista member ran for mayor with the vision to bring back this community of Braddock, Pennsylvania. And he started with the KaBOOM Playground Project because he knew it was a definable project on a definable timeline. And after organizing the project, a year later, after 250 showed up to build the playground, 1,000 people showed up for its first anniversary celebration. It started with the playground. It's now leading to a community. And in a couple of months, a 5-star restaurant is actually coming to Braddock, Pennsylvania. Or Juanita Hatton in Nicetown, Philadelphia, that we were able to organize a playground project with literally across the street from where she lived in a very tough section of town. And on the third day after the playground was done, she walked across the street as she had so often done, only to find graffiti on it. And as an hourly worker, she was frustrated and angry. She didn't know what to do, but she took the day off to scrub the graffiti off the playground. So as she told us, the kids would not come home from school and see something that their parents and their family had built destroyed. Unfortunately, this happened several times over the course of a couple of months. And every time, she took the day off, scrubbed off the graffiti, and got word out in the community that whomever is doing this, I will outlast you. Last year, I was in Nicetown for its 14th birthday celebration and saw the trees that we had planted all that time ago actually now sprouted up, providing shade for what is an absolutely amazing neighborhood park. A couple of weeks ago in my office, I was able to meet the superintendent of the Joplin, Missouri School District. And after the tornado devastated his town, he reached out to us to see if we could rebuild the park like we had done in the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina and built almost 170 playgrounds in that region. And what he told me in that office that day was, Darell, what I didn't realize was that I knew the process of building the playground would be incredibly cathartic, that we could have a control of our own destiny. What I didn't realize was that by having the playground, our post-traumatic stress syndromes amongst the kids have actually gone down. That his counselors reported to him that kids' sense of talking actually about suicide has been reduced. So what that leads us to believe is that play is not a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. And 16 years into this work, as much good work as we've already done, we're just at the cusp of it. Because think about this. Only 1 in 5 kids live within access to a park or a playground. But you're 5 times more likely to be of healthy body weight if you do. The prevalence of childhood obesity in 6 to 7-year-olds has actually quadrupled in the last 2 decades. Recess is being eliminated from our schools. Kids are getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 hours a day of screen time, video, computer, or a monitor of some sort. And most shocking to me is that kids are outside 40% less now than they were just a generation ago. So as an organization, we have to reinvent ourselves to actually get to size, scope, and scale to the size of the problem. And our challenge, I think, before us is to look at how do we not just make more playgrounds, but actually better playgrounds. So we are committed in our next 16 years to help communities, one, map where the play opportunities are and what their quality is. And all of you can help us do that because we have mobile applications that you can download and actually upload photos and ratings of every play experience that you have so that we can help contextualize that over race, high school graduation, obesity rates, and actually come up with the solution to these play deserts, particularly for kids who need it most and who can benefit from it most. The second thing that we're committed to is redesigning the playground of the future. It's bad when we build a playground and it doesn't get used. And we have to build playgrounds that not only kids want to use, but they don't want to leave. So where we're going to go from here is actually a pretty exciting and challenging time, because we're incredibly successful and proudful of what we've already done. But when 20 million kids are living in poverty, when we know that play is foundational to learning, healthy kids, and healthy communities, frankly, our work is just beginning, and we hope that you'll be along with us. Thank you very much.